And we're live. Welcome to the Pitwall, your stop for fantasy formula content. And right now, race reaction to the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. Thank you, everyone who's joining us. Jason, I've never been more excited to watch an ad on YouTube before. Okay, so good news, everyone. Oh, I need to update my round. Oops, I did not change the round. Let's get that going. One of the hiccups of being live. Boom! Bada bing, bada boom. Let's switch that. Okay, great. I think that'll be just nice. So, heads up for everybody. As of last week, the Pitwall has become partnered on YouTube. That means that we hit at least 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time. So, congratulations, everyone, for being a part of that. That was amazing. And then let's look at this logo right here. This logo looks way too big. Yeah, bro?
That's amazing for us, but remember, we have to give a shout out to everybody who actually watches because, 1,000 people decided that they like the content enough to subscribe and they actually watch it. So thank you guys. I don't really know a whole lot about this whole partnering thing. I'm assuming that's exciting, but
it means that it means ads can be run on the videos and monetization. So this month so far, since we got partnered, I think we've earned like $13. So thank you everyone for clicking on those ads. What's that, bro?
That's not bad. $13, all right, we'll take it.
Hello, Jason. Hello, Tessa. Hello, Grant. What we're going to do is we're going to leave all questions to the end. Bro is going to be keeping track of questions and writing them down. So at the end of this podcast, we will handle all your questions. We will say hi to people when you pop in. Just say hi. If you want to comment on what we're talking about, we will read some of those comments. But we're going to save all the questions to the end. Tessa says, when does... that's a question. Hey, JG. Thanks for the advice this week, guys. Ahead in my fantasy team. Join the Discord too. Woot, woot. Link in the description below to be able to be a part of Discord. And we did some amazing day trading when it finally went live. Hello, Leo. That's another question. So, bro, you keep track of the questions as we go. We're going to start off this with the race reaction part because Dad says we waited too long last time to finally say what we felt. So we're going to start off with what we are calling our pit points. You're going to describe the race and the time it takes for a pit stop. Okay, are we ready? Oh, no, Paola's like, what? Okay, let me get the names off while Dominick is readjusting himself. Okay. Dad, you get to go first. What's your pit points?
Tantalizing.
Tantalizing.
And a good outcome for me since I'm a Red Bull fan and a Verstappen fan.
Well, as you can see, Dad took multiple pit stops.
Yeah, it took multiple pit stops. That's fine. Multiple people took pit stops, bro. Get your camera on whenever you can. We saw that the pit stops changed the outcome of the race, right? How did you guys feel about Leclerc saying, I'm going to pit in, I'm going to pit to pass, and then boom, they convinced Red Bull to pit a lap early, and that's what lost Perez the race, in my opinion, right? Because he was first, then Leclerc, then Verstappen, then Sainz after the safety car, then he went 3 places down to 4th. Oof. Okay, bro, your pit. Yes, bro?
Oh, sorry. That whole situation, that was the biggest oof I think I've seen. I'm sure we'll see some other oofs down the line, but I've never felt so sorry for a competitor of my team before. That was rough.
That was rough indeed.
Yeah, I heard his interview at the end, and he said that's racing. You do the best you can, but sometimes things like that happen, and he's happy for Verstappen.
Like, the crazy thing is how close this championship fight is going to be. These sort of things could decide the constructors or even the drivers' championship. One safety car, one missed pit stop, one DNF. And to think about it, last season, Verstappen did get more DNFs than Hamilton and was able to still win the championship. And so Verstappen could try to claw his way back against Leclerc. But on to you, Paola. What are your pit points?
Latifi's an agent of chaos everywhere he goes. And I would say it's a lot of reactive is the word I have in mind. Drivers just reacting to the situation or reacting to the tactics. In the case of Verstappen and Leclerc, especially at the end of, all right, fool me once, fool me twice, not a third time.
Not
So I would say, yeah. Latifi again, come on.
Well,
I must say that Latifi gave us as Red Bull fans how he made the Mercedes fans feel last year.
So you think that set the chain of events?
I don't know, but Mom was bummed about Perez. That's her favorite driver. He got pole. She's all excited, and she got really deflated when that happened.
I'm pretty sure that Mercedes fans are a little bit more salty about Latifi than Red Bull is right now.
Yeah. Well,
Okay,
and I felt bad for Lewis because he worked so hard to get up to 7th, and then just because I guess he couldn't. He went right past it when they told him to pit. He was just too late.
Yeah, if I think so, yeah. So it was too late for the first pit stop, and then after that they closed the pit stop under virtual safety car, and then he had to keep going out and out and out. I think he was able to recover and still get in the points in 10th. Actually, let's kick it over real quick to our these are the provisional race results from the FIA website. Let's see if we can zoom in. Boom, 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 boom. Yep, so it looks like, Hamilton was able to finish P10. Do recognize while we are recording this is a raw reaction. We know that there may be some investigations on some of the drivers who may failed to slow down under the double yellow waved flags. But I'm also happy for Magnussen because Hamilton and Magnussen really went long and did not pit under safety car. And Hamilton was able to get ahead of Magnussen, but because Hamilton then had to stay out, like you said, for so long, then it allowed Magnussen to get back. And then all those DNFs, 1, 2, 3, 4 DNFs, 3 of them happening all on the same lap. What a madness. Okay, Dominick, your pit points.
Oh, this was a crazy race. This is exactly the kind of race that you dream of every week. So the fact that it didn't roll our Ferrari's way this time, but at the end of the day, it was entertaining, and that's what you asked for.
Didn't Ferrari get more constructor points than Red Bull?
Okay, let's do the math. So Verstappen got 25 and Perez got 12, so that is 37. Leclerc got 19 and Sainz got 15. So that's what, 34?
Okay, you're right.
So that's why my Red Bull fantasy was actually a little bit better than the Ferrari by 5 points or something like that. Interesting. Okay, this is a slight deviation, bro. How much are you into soccer?
Who?
You, bro. How much are you into soccer? Chat's saying that you've got an Italia shirt on, and I wonder if you know anything. Do you follow the team at all, or is that just because Mom went to Italy one time and bought it for you?
I like Italy. I'm an ACM fan, but that's again family in Italy. But yeah, I think you see what it says here. It says looks like Italy didn't not making it to the World Cup.
Oof. So we're deviating from Formula One. Apparently, Italia lost to North Macedonia, not getting the World Cup. But anyways, back to our pit points. I think, what did I tell you guys in the race chat? I said reliability strikes again. Man, that was just destroying things. I think another pit point for me is Verstappen was able to out-aggro Hamilton last season, and now Leclerc is outwitting Verstappen this year. And that is crazy to see how Leclerc say, "Oh yeah, here's the DRS detection point. I'll just let you by, and I'll get you." And then they both braked super hard because they're like, "I don't want to get it." So Did you guys think that that Leclerc was going to get back at Verstappen? Because I felt like that yellow flag actually kept him from doing that attack. I think that was like the penultimate lap or something. That yellow flag shuts off his DRS. You were thinking that, Paola?
I think so. I think he needed just like one more lap, honestly, and he had him. And just watching like when Verstappen, like on that one corner when he locked up, I'm like, that's embarrassing, because over comms, like they're saying how they've known each other since they were kids, and like they're saying that over and over again. It's like, so you should also know better. Like before even getting into the car, like you should like have known that Leclerc would do something like that. He's been kind of showing us these tactics even last weekend. So I thought that was pretty embarrassing for a world champion, but that's just me throwing a little shade to Red Bull.
Well, that's funny because you could tell the difference between how Leclerc and Verstappen were talking, because like you said, they grew up together. So after the race, he's talking with Leclerc, he's talking with Sainz. Of course, if it gets really heated and they have like a crash or something throughout the season, that might get icy. But early on, one victory to Leclerc, one victory to Verstappen, and they're still really chummy with each other.
I think Leclerc is happy that he's up there right with the current reigning champion. Last year, he didn't have a car to compete, and now he has a car to compete, and I think he's excited about that.
Imagine if... Oh, yes, Paolo?
I was like, it also probably helps that he still has almost a full race on Verstappen.
True.
I think. Yeah, because, you know...
He got a total of, I think, 26 points, or... Well, did he get fastest lap? Yeah, he did. He got fastest lap last race, so that's 26 points. And so then Verstappen's outscored him by 6 points this time, so now he's leading by 20 points, right?
No, so look. So he had 26 plus the 19 for this race, right? And then you just have you subtract the 25. Yeah, so 20, right?
Okay.
So
I'm usually not good with my mental math. I'm just clicking it today.
So what got me confused initially until we figured it out and I explained to your mom was when the yellow flag came out, then they said he could pass Verstappen. And I was trying to figure out how that is. You know, with the yellow flags, you think they're supposed to be at 40%, down 40%. And then I realized it was only in one sector. It was only in sector 1. Therefore, the rest of the sectors they could race.
True. While we're reflecting, check your mic, Dad. It sounds like you might have gotten switched over to a different microphone. I'm getting a little... But yes, for those of you who may have been wondering about that, flags are for sectors. There's usually 3 sectors on a track, which means that if they're in sector 2 and the yellow flags are sector 1, they're able to race. But once they enter the sector with the yellow flags, they need to show that they're reducing speed. Now, if there's a double-waved yellow flag, it is very clear that you have to reduce speed significantly. And that's why Magnussen, Sainz, Perez, and anybody else are going to review. But those 3 specifically, they're investigating potentially after the race. And then it's fascinating because of how they're doing the FIA now. Teams in the past, if Sainz and Perez were in their situation, the FIA could get on and say, hey, you need to give that position back. They're no longer doing that. If you do not give the position back, they can just give you a penalty. So that's why the team was talking with Perez. Okay, we'll give it back right after because you're not allowed to give it allow overtaking under safety car. So they gave it back as soon as safety car ended. And so I like that because then that allows the FIA to just focus on other things, right? They can say, okay, it seems like so-and-so did something, we'll just investigate. We're not going to sit here and babysit them. Let's see.
I was telling your mom
that,
it was better for them to do that than for them to wait, get investigated, and get a 5-second penalty. You know, he was just right behind him. Perez never got to pass Sainz, but at least he was right behind him rather than 5 seconds. He would have been even further back behind other cars probably.
Well, I don't think so because what was the gap between Perez and Sainz at the end of the race? Oh, it was only... Okay, it was 2.8 seconds or 2.7. So yeah, I guess Perez would not have been able to build the gap. But that's what like Verstappen said last year at Bahrain when he got the penalty against, or he almost got the penalty against Hamilton, but he gave the position back. He thought he could have built that 5-second gap. And so Perez, I think if he was in the front with clean air, he would have been able to maintain his lead. But as you saw, when he was behind Sainz, he was never able to get close and pressure him like Verstappen was doing to Leclerc. And this is all going down to the setup. Apparently the Ferraris are taking more downforce, and so that's why they were able to be much faster in the first sector, but then the Red Bulls could catch up in the second and third sector. But then that was fascinating because that means Leclerc could always outbrake Verstappen because he had more downforce. And then when he got DRS, Leclerc could then pass him on the straight because the downforce was no longer affecting him. What are you laughing at, Dad?
Oh, because when you said that, I just saw all the smoke from both of them breaking at the same time. That was a visual.
Yes. Well, we've got our pit points out of the way. Any other things you're thinking about reaction-wise? Of course, chat, tell us what are your pit points, and we will read them out.
I want to know more about right before the race started, Toto went on and he said that they were trying, like they did a setup experiment with Lewis this weekend that like went horribly wrong. I would like to hear more about that from like someone at Mercedes at some point. Maybe like in a future tech talk they'll go over it, but it's just like that seemed like they really, really messed up, but they don't seem to be like worried. So I feel like he's not talking a way of like, oh, he talked about it as if like we tried something, it failed horribly, but it's like, but we're gonna be fine was sort of the attitude, and Lewis doesn't seem like heavily discouraged. We see him, we know how he's like when he's like really upset with his car and he's discouraged. So I don't think that we need to like or I don't know that I agree with Mercedes is a midfield car. I don't know that we know enough yet to make that call.
Yeah, I like you said, maybe because Mercedes is really good on their YouTube. They'll post like the debrief for the race. Yeah, maybe they don't want to give that away, right? Because then that is competitive advantage. But we saw that Hamilton was actually pretty good during the race. And so whatever the setup was not optimal for warming up his tires for qualifying, but he was able to do much better when he started the race on hards. So like you said, they were trying a little thing, it didn't quite work out, but Hamilton finishing in P10, maybe he didn't want to have that, but like we said earlier, it was that virtual safety car that really messed him up because he was actually behind George Russell at one point. I think he was up to 6th when he was doing the alternative strategy. Okay, how about the Alpine pink car battle that happened in the first half of the race?
Oh yeah.
My mic better? Just double check.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, you sound fine.
A little quieter, but yeah.
But hold on, let's take a moment to address Jason here. It says it was nice to see Lando in the points. That is encouraging for McLaren at least.
Well, bro, that's the answer, right? You asked last time who's going to get points first, McLaren or Mick Schumacher, and the answer is McLaren. Actually, speaking of that, let me.
No, but hold on.
Yeah.
I think the only reason that McLaren got points first is because Mick Schumacher wasn't in the race.
Ooh, hot take, but it was still his fault for getting crashed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm joking, of course. Magnussen's looking really good, but I haven't seen enough out of Schumacher yet to really just expect that he would have been in the top 10 this race.
True.
Yeah.
And then it was a rip for Tsunoda because he wasn't able to start quali or the race. It was unfortunate. Actually, we should go over the Twitter real quick. Let's kick over the Twitter.
He's too busy with his restaurant business plan.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. That's what Tsunoda is there.
No, it's just like there's like a video meme going around of like they're interviewing F1 drivers and they're like, what's your number one dream? And everyone says to be an F1 champion. And then they get to Tsunoda and he's like, to open my own restaurant. And they're like, oh, okay. And they're like, yeah, that's my dream. It's like, okay.
True. We have this poll I put up on Twitter. I was like, amazing first poll for Perez. How do you think he'll do during the race? 28% said P1, 30% said P2, 28% said P3, 12% said P4, and I put a little gas station thing for P4. So, that was the pits that eventually caught him out. Let's see. Jason Casco saying Alonso and Bottas would have been ahead of Norris as well. That is a good point. Those DNFs did keep, didn't that happen last race? The 2 DNFs of the Red Bulls pretty much shifted everybody up 2 spots. So we had 2 other DNFs and everyone shifted up 2 spots. That was unfortunate for Alonso. Like, how did you guys feel about how he was handling the battle with his teammate? And then, of course, the DNF.
Yeah, I see how we swerved this conversation back to the Alpines. Let me tell you, because remember, we was about to talk about that. And then
it's called good moderating and good hosting. You remember what you're doing and you get back to it. So.
I call that swerving. But here's the thing. Okay. I was really excited about that battle. As the announcers were saying, it's good. It's good for watching. Probably not good for the team. But like Alonso finally made his move. He made his statement, and then down the road, he's a big oof. Just to see his car just quit on him, and that was it for him. So he was pushing, really trying hard, and then it came to nothing. So I guess at the end, I guess you could say Ocon got the last laugh on that situation.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, but initially Ocon got passed by Bottas as soon as they stopped racing hard.
Yeah, and Bottas also didn't finish, so guess who got the last laugh on that situation too? I guess Ocon's just laughing it up.
Speaking of Bottas, another poll I put on Twitter, he was looking really fast after FP1. So I said, which is most likely for car number 77? 6% said podium, 46% said beat Hamilton, 46% said another recovery drive. I did not want to put in the 4th one DNF, but that ended up being the what happened, even though no one voted on it. Yes, Ocon did get the last laugh, which means that Ocon's value, sentiment-wise, is going to start shooting through the roof. So you probably want to be careful and keep an eye out for that. Actually, let me check real quick. We're still building the bot for the Discord. I know a lot of people are asking about sentiment and being able to see that appropriately. I can see it because I have access to that special channel for the sentiment tracker. We just got an update. Gasly's price change. No, he's at 90%. Gasly's at negative 90%. Okay, so the alert is starting to work. Nice, the alert's starting to work. Gasly's at negative 90%. So if you have him on your team, you probably want to juggle him out. Perez is at 77%. He rose 2 points. Ocon, he's at 75%. He raised 10 points. So he is on the move, and so you probably want to be aware of Ocon. Like I say, if a driver constructor ever gets above 80%, that's when you would consider them. I don't like committing to a substitution. If you're wildcarding, maybe. But I don't know. For everyone who was in the Discord, it was crazy juggling that we did. And that's why I tried to hold off as long as possible to be able to make the juggle. Because you don't want to sub a guy and then burn the sub, realizing someone else is outpacing them. But so like Finley said... Oh, yes, Dad.
What about Stroll? He's negative 93.
Stroll's at negative 93. Yeah, so the alerts, at least how the bot works, is you'll get an alert when someone hits 90, and then 95. And so since Stroll is in between 90 and 93, that's probably why, like I said, the developer's still working on the alerts. I do the graphic design side of it. Oh, man, it's really cool, the little layout. If you are supporting us on Patreon, you get access to our premium channels. And so I've already shared with the premium pit crew what some of the development looks like. It's really cool. Anyway, so Finley said reliability is king. Kesko, Alonso, and Ocon should have played it differently and stayed close to Russell to get away from Bottas behind. So that's something I don't know how the drivers would have done. But in my opinion, if I was the team, I'd say you slipstream him down into sector 2, you slipstream him into the straight, and then you guys just go back and forth to catch up to Russell. I don't know why they kept battling, and like, what's so funny, bro?
Sorry, I was just reading the comments. You can keep talking.
Okay, wait, no, you okay, hold on. That battle was so exciting, though. Yeah, true. So here's the thing. They got on the radio with Otmar Zafnar, the team principal, and he's like, yeah, we're going to let him race. And then the commentator's like, yeah, they're probably getting more advertising views because BWT, they kept like gluing on the thing. So heads up, after this second race, BWT's pink livery will be over for the rest of the season. So it'll go back to the Alpine blue. The pink was pretty cool. Pink was pretty cool
No, the pink was confusing.
Why?
That's
Tell
what
me.
I'm thought.
Huh? Because I'm like this. I keep thinking about Racing Point, and I'm like, Racing Point is not a team that's there anymore. And so I mean, Alpine, man.
So you think they
like
lost their identity because we're so used to the branding of Racing Point?
Like I don't dislike the pink livery, right? It looks great, but it's not. I don't think Alpine when I see pink. I think a team that doesn't exist anymore. So
That's pretty much what happened, isn't it?
Well, so you know what's funny is Zafnauer. Okay, sorry, I don't want to get into this. So this is my personal opinion. This is not corroborated by anything I've read online. Okay, this is just my observations. Zafnauer must have been really close with BWT. Okay, Aston Martin buys Racing Point. They want to go a different direction. The advertising dollars insist that there's got to be a lot of BWT everywhere. They want to go Aston Martin branding. Okay. The car isn't that good last year after they did Tracing Point or the pink Mercedes. Zafnauer looks for an opportunity at Alpine. Of course, he's able to bring his sponsorship over, and he's able to reunite with Ocon, the driver he had previously at Racing Point. And the reason why Ocon got dropped is because Stroll came in. So we see that Zafnauer has been able to stay with who he feels comfortable with. And at this point, that's that sponsorship of BWT and his preferred young gun of Ocon. What do you guys think about how Alpine might go, especially under the leadership of this new principal?
I think it's pretty exciting. It'll be nice to watch.
He seems pretty chill, right? He seems like the type of boss that is just going to let things play out, which I guess is going to be okay for the drivers. But we saw that Ocon and Perez started crashing into each other. Like, do you guys think that if we keep getting this racing between Alonso and Ocon, we might end up with a problem?
If you have a crash, they'll stop
it. True. They'll be like, meh.
Especially with the amount of money it costs to repair crashes nowadays.
True. That's what they said about Schumacher. He could have raced this race, but they said if he had another crash, they would not have enough spare parts to get him ready for Australia. And last year, Schumacher crashed into a wall. This year, he crashed into a wall. It was probably inevitable that he was going to damage the car again, right? And so, like you said, you got to with your budget, you got to manage how much of your car is going through.
I say that their Alpine's director, when they were asking him, like, "Hey, is this okay? Is it okay that your two guys are possibly pushing the cars and stuff against each other?" And he's like, "Look, they're going to race each other, and we're okay with that. But he knows that when the time comes for them to straighten out, they will." And so it's interesting to see that mindset. They're letting it go for now, and like you said, if it actually starts becoming a problem, I'm sure they'll start doing more team orders, right?
Interesting. Finish.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, so that means then if Ocon and Alonso are aware of this, that's why Ocon was fighting so hard to defend and Alonso was fighting so hard to pass. Because whoever was ahead at whatever, right before the pit stop strategy started kicking in, whoever was ahead was going to get the preference, right? Mm-hmm. Most teams, what they do is whoever finishes turn one ahead gets preference. But apparently Alpine's allowing them to race. And so once Alonso got ahead and now they started getting the threat from Bottas behind, they're like, stop, just hold. And like you said, they did. But then who got the last laugh?
So could Alonso actually be in real time helping train Ocon for the future and being a previous champion?
Do drivers actually want to train? So, like, here's the thing.
Yeah, I don't see Alonso as wanting to do that. I don't. But maybe, and I actually think like that what they're doing is like it's risky, not just from the standpoint of them racing each other and potentially like crashing into each other, but just it's easier said than done. That it's like you have to assume there's a high level of trust if they really are going to carry out like the best strategy. But I feel like once you start racing, like whatever you agreed upon beforehand sometimes can go out the window, and we've seen that like I think in both Ocon and Alonso where like yes, like I'm gonna be a good teammate, but sometimes like Alonso just goes wild. Like he's like, no, I'm gonna race like regardless. Like I don't like that call, and I like like you've seen Alonso go against like I don't know team strategy before. So
I don't think, with the exception of Hungary last year, I don't think I've ever seen Alonso play the team game. Hungary last year, he actually defended against Hamilton, and I think that was because he knew two things. The first is the only way Ocon could win is if he stopped Hamilton, and I think it was like 5+ laps he was able to keep Hamilton behind. Or two, because he wanted to beat Hamilton. Like he has that like previous history with Hamilton, so he's like, I've got the car, I'll block him, and I'll just keep doing it. Finley says, I like the pink livery more than in the blue one. Okay, let's see. I don't know how yet to do polls on YouTube. I'll have to look into that. But yeah, let's see, chat. 1 for pink, 2 for blue. 1 for pink, 2 for blue. Which is your preferred Alpine livery? So, okay, so Dad, did Mom have any sort of feelings? She was just bummed because...
She's deflated and she refused to come and say anything.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. Share it when you're hot, right? Now,
yeah, she's usually excitable, but as high as she gets, she can get low. She doesn't want to show her lows.
Although Leclerc, apparently Sable, she was coming before we went live. She was really rooting for Leclerc. It's great to be able to have these battles. Do you guys think that this like battling for the lead will continue, or do you think the development war is going to put one of these two teams ahead?
I think that Mercedes is probably going to enter in the fray in maybe 3-4 more races. And I think one of the Mercedes will be trying to get a podium coming up.
Hi, Hugh. It looks like he says blue, so 1 for pink, 1 for blue. Sorry, what are you thinking, bro?
It's going to be hard to tell for sure. Like I said, with the cost cap and stuff, really knowing what to expect throughout the year, a little harder. All right, I don't think it's so predictable. But the real thing is I want to see how the teams adjust to the closer racing now. It almost seems like there's some kind of meta forming where passing on a DRS before another DRS might not be the smartest play. And I'm wondering to see if teams are going to start adjusting for that.
Because I thought DRS...
The only attention we've got so far is between Verstappen and Leclerc, right? Because they're the only ones that, like, when that's happening, everyone's really focused on it. But other teams are going to probably start playing around that too, I bet.
True, because, like, DRS in the past seemed like it was the only way to allow a car to pass, right? And then they said, we're going to change the regulations to allow closer racing. So originally, there was not going to be DRS. But after they did their initial analysis, they said, well, actually, probably we should keep, because the cars aren't able to be immediately close behind. So like you said, this meta, which I think is fascinating, right? Because in the past, DRS was like a one and done, right? You caught up, and then once you passed them, you probably were out. But because now we have these DRS right next to each other, you get this back and forth, which is great.
Here's the thing, though. Unless like there is a yellow flag or red flag or something, we're still not seeing a ton of competition right at the front. Like you're still seeing like Leclerc get like a pretty good lead, or Perez in this case. Like if we hadn't seen like, unless there's like a car crashing into a wall, it kind of brings things back closer together again. I think we could see in the future like a really clean no DNF race where Verstappen or Perez are like 5 seconds ahead, or someone from Ferrari.
I guess that shows how powerful open air is, or clean air, right? Yeah. That happened last year at this circuit. It was Hamilton, followed by Bottas, followed by Verstappen. And it wasn't until the red flag came out that the race got interesting. And we kind of saw that here as well. Perez was ahead, then it was Leclerc, then it was Verstappen, then it was Sainz. And it was going to hold that way until the safety car came out. And so maybe this is why Ross Brawn was really pushing for sprint races instead of standard qualifying. right? Because right now, if you have the fastest package, you're up front, and then you can kind of pull away. And if there's not, like you said, pit stops or yellow flags or anything else, boom, you just stay ahead. And then they not only did they want to have sprint races, they wanted reverse grid, because then that means that the fastest cars had to then pass through the pack. And so now I can understand why they were wanting to do all that to, like you said, see more passing, see more racing. Because right now we're still seeing, well, cars are getting closer, right? But like you said, up at the front, although, like what Dominick said at the beginning, I think last race when Verstappen and Leclerc went at it for 3 laps, and for this one when they went at it for 10 laps, best laps, right? Best laps.
The reason why Perez was able to get off is because there's no DRS in the first 2 laps. You know, once the DRS was enabled, then there was fighting at the front.
Oh, so you're saying that whoever has clean air at the beginning of the race gets such a huge advantage. If you had like DRS right at the beginning, then you would have all this battling because you couldn't just pull away. Well, that's what surprised me about the virtual safety car. So under safety car, you have to wait 2 laps. Beginning of the race, you wait 2 laps. Virtual safety car, you only have to wait 1 lap. And so I wonder if they will eventually switch that. Instead of at the end of the race having 2 laps, they'll just do 1. But I'm not sure.
As they get more data, and if this is their goal to have more racing and stuff, I wouldn't be surprised next year if they went to 1 lap. Because you wouldn't have seen as much pull away from Perez if it was only 1 lap. And then the person behind him could potentially use DRS.
True. I guess the other thing I like about the new regulations is that there's actually undercut strategies. Mercedes in the last 7-8 years or whatever, they could build 20-second gaps and get free pit stops. Here, what was it? 2 seconds tops at any point this whole race was first and second separated. Last race, I think it was up to 3 or 4. But that's still, if you get a nice outlap and a good clean pit stop, you could still get back in, right? And so I am liking that we have these bigger opportunities for racing.
I wish they'd just let Leclerc, pit instead.
Imagine if Red Bull had just said, no, we're going to let him do it. Man, Leclerc would have been behind Sainz for sure. And that would have been interesting. Okay, so if Perez was ahead, then Verstappen, then Sainz, then Leclerc, would the team have allowed Verstappen to attack Perez? Or do you think they would have just had him hold position?
I think it depends on who is faster. If one car had a faster pace, they'd rather it be ahead and use the other one to block.
It looked like, didn't Verstappen have fastest lap for a little while? And it wasn't up until the end that Leclerc took it away. So
True.
I would think they would let him go against Perez. It seemed like he had the slightly faster
I wonder
pace.
how much that was for DRS, though, because I think when Perez first came out, after safety car was over, I think he had the fastest laps. And then, like you said, then Verstappen got it, and then at the end of the race, Leclerc got it. Well, I think he and Verstappen traded a little bit, but yeah, for sure.
Yeah. No, this was definitely the first time that I felt bad for Perez, because he finally had the chance to I don't know, not prove himself. I think he's proved that he's gritty and he's aggressive and all of that, but the no fault of his own aspect of it, it's just painful to watch.
Yeah.
Who didn't?
I will say though that no offense to you, Dad, since a Red Bull ended up winning the race anyway, I would have preferred seeing Perez winning the race than Verstappen. Just because I really feel like he got robbed so hard this race.
I agree.
It's just very nice for you to agree.
Well, my household would have been happier.
True. Happy wife, happy life.
Happy life.
True.
Even Verstappen looks happier on the podium. I feel like last year, even when he would win, he'd kind of be a little more serious and a serious happy. Now he's smiling, I'm a world champion. I can do this. I can.
Well, isn't that what you were saying when we did our season preview? The pressure's kind of off him, right? So he's able to be a little bit more relaxed. And so Yeah, that's good. And also, like we said, it's early days. I would probably have to go back. Well, no, the first race of last season was a little controversial, right? Because of the passing off track. And then Imola was a knockout fight. So I think because he's having clean racing with Leclerc, that's why they're very happy with each other. Because, what I personally like about racing is the racing itself. Yeah, it's nice if I win, but being able to have these close battles where you're like thinking on your feet, thinking on your wheels, right? That's really great.
I'm curious to see if we're going to still be getting thumbs up from the drivers as the season progresses. If you had told me at the beginning of the season last year that Hamilton and Verstappen were giving thumbs up to each other, I wouldn't have believed that. But by the end of the season, there's no way on earth that they would even do that, because at that point it'd almost be an insult. So.
That's true.
I don't know. Like it's the beginning of the year, spirits are high. But if this season ends up being tight like last year, I'm sure some of that niceness will probably go away.
I think right now Leclerc is happy to be up there with him. Once, if it continues and he persistently is with him, then it'll be more of an expectation. People didn't expect him to be there and win the first race and be second on the second race. So to him, it's still great. Once it becomes an expectation that he should win, then it's not going to be so nice.
That's true. I hadn't thought about that. Verstappen fought for the win, but he didn't expect to win this race, right? He was given the opportunity and he won it. So that's probably why, like you're saying, Paul, he was pretty happy, right? He was able to overachieve. And then Leclerc knew he was going to fight versus Perez, but he also didn't expect to win because, before the safety car, right, he was trying to fight Perez. But like you said, if you get one of these guys on pole and then they lose the race, that's when you're going to start having mixed emotions, right? Because like you said, Dad, they're starting to get that expectation. These are looking great. Shout out to the developer. Ocon, he's up at 83%. McLaren, negative 80%. Ocon, if you're wanting to pump him, that might be the time to do so. We've got about 15 minutes left of this podcast, of this live stream, and so then I will probably get into day trading mode on the Discord. Okay, Dad, we're going to segue before we get to questions. Give the chat a preview, and then we will head over to the last 10 minutes for questions.
Okay, hold on. But before we do that, we have a 50-50 split on the Alpine livery. So I feel like maybe we should give our own opinions on that and maybe break this tie, or just maybe continue it. Who knows? So I think I've made my position on this situation very clear.
Okay, one for pink. What about you, Dad?
I'm going. Oh, no, blue.
Oh no. Sorry. You're against pink. Sorry.
Oh my God! This is like the Sleeping Beauty movie. Remember at the end they're fighting over her dress, and it's like the one's like it'll be pink, and the other one's like it'll be blue. Switching it back and forth. That's what's going on exactly.
Chat,
right now.
I want you on Twitter. Send us a GIF on Twitter. I want to see that. It'll be pink. It'll be blue. If someone can make that for me, please, that would be great. Or even post it in our Discord.
I am backing blue. I say that I like the blue more. So, bro, what do you think?
Oh, I like to go last because I think Dad, it sounded like you didn't like the pink either, right? So you're blue.
What's my favorite color?
Oh, true.
Pink. Oh, his favorite color is pink, obviously. So that's why he wants blue.
Never
have I ever. Okay, Paola.
Are you gonna muddle this mojito?
I think it's I think the pink and the what is it? Is it pink and blue? I think that's a bad combo. I would like the pink if they hadn't paired it up with that other blue.
It's like they have like a blue, and then they have Mapfire or Mapfree or however you pronounce it, who's also red. They just have all these weird mismatch of colors.
If you made it, I don't know, like pink and white or like pink and some, I don't know. But I do like the pink. I think it's different. It stands out on the track. Yes, it's confusing, but give me a couple more years, people forget race point existed.
Okay. So I will align with Paola, but I will say
no.
One of my
favorite tiebreaker.
One of my favorite
Oh,
liveries is the Renault, where it was like black with like yellow stripes down the side. So from the front it looked yellow, from the side it looked black. If they did something like that, where from the front it looked pink and from the side it looked blue or something like that could be cool. They could just adjust how they do their sponsorships. Hey,
This looks
Tommy
messy
Boy
right
Truck.
now. Yeah.
Well, it's
What happened
official
to
then.
Botas, he says. Well, before we get to questions, I'll do some research on that.
It's official that 50% of the voters like confusion. You guys like confusion. That's all you care about.
Or they like pink.
No.
Okay, Dad,
Blue's
give us
my
your
favorite
preview,
color.
and then we will finish up with questions. Anyone who's asked a question, we're keeping track of them. What we're trying to do is save questions to the end because Dad wanted to get the race reaction out of the way. So we are almost there. Okay, Dad, give us the preview for chat.
Okay, so tomorrow night I'm going to have a game in the game center called Countries Count. And to help people understand and get involved, I'm going to give a question today that you guys can, in live land, can go ahead and give the answer. And the first person that gets the answer will get a shout out. And this is the kind of content that we'll have in tomorrow's quiz or game. So the question, the statement is, it's a European country with the most active drivers on the grid. And there's 9 points possible. Part A, name the country. B, name the drivers. C, name its hosted Grand Prix and the circuit name. And 4, name the licensed drivers in that country.
Are we allowing them just do the research beforehand?
Well, if
No,
they know
no.
it off the top of their head, they're probably going to be the quickest one to give the answers. So, and they're giving the answers now, live time, real time.
So what's happening is right now he's just going to give a question so that they can have a participation. During the podcast, it's for us, right? They don't participate during the podcast. So Dad's just wanting to blend the game center part. So
I'll repeat it. So, European country with the most active drivers on the grid.
okay, chat. First one to put it in right, okay? Type it in the comments, or in the chat. What was it, Dad? Say it one more time.
European country with the most active drivers on the grid this year.
European country with the most active drivers on the grid this year, and I believe I know the answer.
Name this country. B, name its drivers. C, name its hosted Grand Prix and the circuit name. And D, name its licensed constructors in that country.
So they
Oh,
need
we
to
got-
have like 5 answers in their
9 answers.
Dino, step it up.
Well, that's way too much all at once. Should we do it one at a time for chat?
Sure, let's do it one at a time.
Okay, what's
Name
the first
country.
one? Name the country. Okay, so Dino
All right.
says UK. Hugh goes there, says UK.
Very good.
Very
All
good.
right.
Okay, good chat. Good chat. You guys got UK.
Okay, the dominoes start falling.
Okay,
real
so UK is the answer to the country. What are the drivers on the grid from UK?
Okay, the British drivers on the grid right now. The ones from the UK. Where do we go, chat? Name the drivers on the grid. I think there's Dino says Ham, Norris, and Russell. Finley, okay.
Yep, he's right.
Tesco is including Albon in there, but I think he's Thai technically, even though he grew up in England. So what's that say, Dad? Is it based off of what they're racing under? What country are they racing under? Is that what you're doing?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so Albon would not be included in that list. So it's Russell, Hamilton, Norris. Okay,
Yeah.
Is that right?
And then the next one. So in the United Kingdom, what is a hosted Grand Prix and what is the circuit name of that Grand Prix? Or what the Grand Prix? What circuit does it run on?
Okay. So to answer your question, Casco's Ryan, we're doing it because under F1 he's racing Thai, I believe. Okay. So what is British Grand Prix, and they're saying Silverstone. A lot of people are saying Silverstone.
Yep, that's correct.
Good. And on to the next part.
The last one is the licensed constructor in that country.
Okay, what constructor is licensed?
Constructors.
Constructors, are licensed for the UK.
Come on.
What constructors are licensed for the UK, chat? Okay. We have one, but I think there's multiples, so we need answers that recover all of them.
I'll give a hint. There's 3 of them.
Oh, 3 of them. Okay, Finley, Aston Martin, Mercedes, McLaren, Williams. Okay,
Mercedes is German.
Okay, Banana Pedro says Williams, McLaren, Aston Martin.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's it. Williams, McLaren, because I believe Mercedes is registered German, right? So their plant is in is it called Brackley, I think? Their plant is in the UK, but they're registered German. Just like how Red Bull is also got their plant in Britain, but they're registered for Austria.
Right.
You guys are all smarter than I am.
Well, this is why Dad wants to do it today, so that you and I and Paola can do our research for tomorrow.
You gonna have different questions tomorrow? Because I remember all these answers.
Absolutely. You think I would give you guys such an easy pass?
Yes, I was hoping.
Well, would have today been kind of a trick question? Because wouldn't there have been also 3 German racers today?
This isn't German. This is
no,
I know, but I'm saying in terms of who had.
There's only 2 on the grid. One's not driving.
Oh, like on the okay.
So there's only 2 Germans on the grid.
That's tricky. That's tricky. So when you meant on the grid, you meant like today's race, because Vettel is German, but he didn't race, and a German took Vettel's place, so there's still only 2.
Right.
And Schumacher didn't even race today, so there was only 1 German.
Well, but he wasn't on the grid either, was he?
Yeah, he wasn't. Interesting. Yeah. So we got to be careful. That's a good catch, Paola.
That was a good catch.
We'll get extra points when we catch Dad out, won't we? Okay, guys, we've got 8 minutes or 7 minutes left. Now to the questions. Bro, you were keeping track of questions. Which one do you want to start off with?
Well, actually, before we start off with questions, I need to give a shout out to Kesko for his his insight. He says, anyone who still has Stroll should retire his fantasy.
Wow.
So people were asking me about Bottas. Check sentiment. Bottas is currently sitting at 25. He went down 1 point, but he's still positive. I don't recommend you drop a driver unless you're trying to juggle or day trade, unless he's negative and about to drop. So like I said, if you had McLaren, of course, you would want to drop them because they're at negative 80%. Okay. Questions, bro. Chat. This is your time for questions. Recognize that if you ask a question right now, it's going to go into the queue. So Donic's going to be filtering through questions.
Yeah. So I think we probably, if we answer quickly, have enough time to get through these. Teza asks, when does the market resume? After the race? 2-3 hours later?
Market went live last Wednesday, and it's live for the rest of the season. Okay. There are 2 ways that a driver gains or loses team their value. One, through performance, and that happens at the close of the race. So sometime tonight, after the points have been assigned, PlayOn will give a value adjustment for the drivers. So for example, Alonso may lose because he DNF'd. Bottas might lose because he DNF'd. So last week, I dropped any driver that I thought was going to lose value before the performance drop. Okay. Sentiment, though, lasts the whole way. It's continuous. So let me show you guys on the web so you guys can see what's going on here. Okay, this is my team. See how it says live up in the right-hand corner? But if you go to this drop-down menu, you can already start changing your team for the next race. And you can do that as soon as the team's locked for the previous week. So that means sentiment could be changing after qualifying, during the race, after the race. And so Ocon, even though you can't do anything right now with your live team, Ocon could be shooting up because people are already making their subs for the next week. And so that's why it's important, and we'll try to keep you updated on the Discord community.
All right. Question 2 from Leo. Who do you think will jump in price value based on race performance?
Okay, well, let's kick over to the spreadsheet so I can show you guys how the results of the race went. Okay, let's go to Google Sheets. So right here, these are provisional results until everything finishes. So anyone who got negative points for the race. So we have Sonoda negative 15. He's definitely probably going to drop in value. Bottas only got negative 2. Man, that one's tricky. Mick Schumacher definitely, because that was a crash. I don't know the algorithm for PlayOn. If I knew, I would let you know. But I think play on as across the board, if they are DNFing, you can probably think that they're going to lose points. But Verstappen didn't lose points, and Perez didn't lose points last week because they DNF'd. So like I said, I'm not 100% on what their algorithm is. So you have a lot of drivers that if they look like they overperform, they'll continue to raise in price. Now, here's an issue. Last season, even though Hamilton was winning races, he was still losing value because of sentiment. He wasn't gaining any performance points. So that may not have answered your question, guys, but hopefully that gives you some insights on the mysteries of play on.
And that's more important when you're dealing with day trading, and less important when it's your team, that your steady team, and what you go more by points per million rather than by the losing of a 0.1 point per million type thing. If that made any sense.
Actually, because I know one of the questions was about Bottas. Let me kick it back over to the rank tab on the Google sheet so we can look this over real quick. Let me go into 150%.
Because if Bottas loses a 0.1 million, let's say, but his points per million is still better than another driver you could pick up, and you're not day trading, you might want to still keep him on your team.
True. At this point, Bottas is at a 1.1 points per million, and Ocon's at 1.7 with a 2.9% value. So if you pick up Ocon, he's 2.9%, like 3% cheaper than what he would normally be after 2 races. So I can see why people would go to Ocon. Ocon costs $3 million more than Bottas, but if you pick up Ocon now and he raises, just realize that gap's going to go larger and larger. And we can look over here on the left to see that gap. All these people in yellow are within 0.3 million of each other. So Tsunoda and Zhou are close. Bottas and Stroll are close. Latifi and Vettel are close. Latifi's definitely going to start shooting down. And then Alonso and Ocon are neck and neck. But because of Alonso's DNF, I can see Ocon going higher. So yeah, it looks more and more. At least you get 3 free subs. And if you're not using your wild card, which gives you 12 free subs, you can at least do 1 juggle. Now, if Ocon is the money and points pick, then you could sub out Bottas for Ocon and then hold him. And if something bad happens during free practice 1, 2, or 3, then you could sub him out. But if not, he's probably going to be okay, better than the Alfa Romeo, because it depends on the circuit. But it seems like the Alpine has the reliability. Well, okay, we saw Alonso DNF. Tricky. Tricky. But that's some of the insights that we have, at least for this.
Okay, so I'm going to answer this one real quick because Leo just put it in. It says, does race performance change the sentiment percentage? And the answer is oftentimes, no, not technically. Sentiment is based on people's perceptions of a driver, but also sentiment can be changed for more than just how a person races, right? There's situations where a person's sentiment might go down for factors that are outside of the race itself, right? And you can expand on that if you want.
So that's a good question. So performance will not impact sentiment technically, but if a guy suddenly drops in value, or people are thinking he's going to drop in value because of performance, sentiment is going to shoot down, right? We didn't see that last race because the Vettel to Hülkenberg kerfuffle. But yeah, I bet you a lot of people's sentiment would have drastically shifted because everyone was switching over to heavy Ferrari post race 1, which is why if you had the meta lineup, you gained 1.2 million you gained based off of performance shoot up. And so yeah, if you have the Ferrari and the 2 Ferrari drivers and you have Perez, and Magnussen, then whoever's that 5th driver, which in my case would be Bottas to Ocon, I'm probably going to get a performance and a sentiment bump.
So sentiment is not directly tied to performance. However, chances are a driver's sentiment will go up and down based on their performance. So not directly tied, but oftentimes it will be affected.
Okay, so Leo's clarifying this. He says for the race performance jump on plan will be either 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 million, but never something like plus 30%, negative 50%. Yes. So sentiment has nothing to do with performance. Sentiment is purely how often they pick up and they drop. So Ferrari is currently dropping down. Okay, they dropped 5 points and at 12%. Okay, let me shoot this over the Google sheet. This blew my mind. Okay, this blew my mind. People, I do not know why they're jumping off Ferrari so hard. Where's the sentiment? Value, sentiment, price change, percent picked. Okay, if you look under percent picked, why is Alonso negative 600%? That's an anomaly. It must be because I jumped ahead. Ferrari is at negative 20%, okay? And Red Bull's 30%. So a lot of people are picking up Red Bull, and we're dropping Ferrari to do so. And that's why Ferrari is dropping down. I don't think they will ever go negative because they are still cheaper than Red Bull. Yeah, I still don't know why Alonso's at negative 600%. There must be an error under performance. Let me go over there real quick. Trade in, percentage picked, Alonso 19. Most transferred in, Alonso's at 0, but transferred out is at 0. So there must be an error somewhere in here that I need to figure out. Alonso negative 38%. Anyways, so hopefully that answers your question. Yeah.
I'm curious to see how folks will start like balancing out their budgets, if they'll either go like full in on one constructor or start making the balance of like, oh, Perez with Leclerc or Sainz and Verstappen.
Well, like I found a lineup for this race where you could get the top 4 drivers with Alfa Romeo as your constructor. Yeah. So you would go Turbo Leclerc, have Sainz, have Verstappen, have Perez, have Magnussen, and then have Alfa Romeo. Or in my case, I don't think you could have kept Bottas. That's right, you could have kept Bottas and dropped Magnussen. But the problem is with Alfa Romeo DNFing Bottas and Zhou being so low, I'm glad I didn't do that because you gain a lot more points with either Ferrari or Red Bull. But okay, here's a new update. Okay, Ricciardo negative 8%, AlphaTauri negative 90. Ocon is up to 85%, up 2 points. Perez up to 79%, a point. Red Bull is up to 40, gaining 6% or 6 points. Ferrari's now down to 10, so Ferrari is trending downward, and Red Bull is on my money team. So I guess keeping Red Bull will be smart. Okay, guys, if you're wanting to pump Ocon, that's probably the thing to be doing.
Do you think this is just an overreaction right now? They saw how Red Bull did on this race, and now people are thinking that Red Bull are going to just be the better option.
Okay, I'm gonna kick it over the web because you might as well document this. Okay, so here's the situation. On my team number 1 is my steady team. Okay, currently at 393 points. Team 2 is at 354 points because I tried to do Verstappen Red Bull the first race. It's trying to catch back up. As you can see here, Bottas is still 27%, but because of his DNF. Or Magnussen, who's still chilling. I think Magnussen's still worth it because of his price. But because I have 3 substitutions, I'll probably drop Bottas, and I'm going to pick up Ocon so that I can get the 0.1 million. There you go. Your team has to stay under 103. Oof. I can't do that. So how do I juggle to pick up Ocon? Fascinating. Close. Okay, well then we're going to return later and we're going to undo that. Interesting. So I can't even pick up Ocon with my day trading team right now. I'm glad we're looking into this. But of course, with Team 1, if I think that Ocon is going to be better than Ferrari, then I will then pick up Ocon, and I should be able to have the budget for this. There's another question someone had that I noticed. Yeah, so I can afford Ocon. I have 5.2 million left over. I might do this on my steady team because Ocon's seeming like a consistent pick above Bottas. But here's the thing. Under constructors, if you see these little fires, that means that they have a race streak. Let me zoom in so people can see. Okay.
Are you able to update your team right now?
Yes. What you do is you click for Australia. There's a little drop-down menu that allows you to go to the next race week, and I'd recommend you guys do that, especially if you're pulling your wild cards. So anybody who has a fire means that they are preparing for a race streak. So Mercedes, if they finish in the top 10, will get plus 10 points. If Red Bull qualifies in the top 10, they will get plus 5 points. If Ferrari, they're up for a power streak. I don't know why everyone's trading out Ferrari right now. Okay, guys? Ferrari can get plus 15 points next race weekend if their drivers finish in the top 10. Just to put this in perspective, Red Bull outperformed Ferrari by 3 points this race, and they only scored 4 points the first race. So Ferrari is clearly better, and if they are going to get the power streak of plus 15 points, they are must-have on your team. I do not know why Ferrari is trending down. This goes to show that people, like Bro said, are overreacting to the performance of Red Bull. I'm thinking about wildcarding this weekend for day trading. Yes, there are 2 weeks between this race and the second race. And so if you wanted the wildcard, there's more time to day trade. Yes, player streaks are longer than constructors. Constructors are 3, player streaks are 5. And so this is only race 2. So we're still waiting on them. So the constructor is the main one you want to look at right now. And Ferrari is clearly the only one that's up for a power streak. And Red Bull could get 5. So that means Ferrari could get 10 points more than Red Bull. So the question is, do you see Ferrari outperforming Red Bull by 10 points? They were 3 points less than Ferrari this time, then that means they could edge out Ferrari by 7 points. Now, if you think that Red Bull is going to 1-2 next race, then that might be mitigated. But I still think with the price that Ferrari has, that's cheaper than Red Bull and a power streak, they're going to be a better option going down the road. Whew, okay, I'm going to save this then because he's up at, Ocon is up at, Ocon's up at 85%. Okay, I'll do that. This is my steady team. Normally, I don't do the trades, but like I said, I've used one sub, and I can still sub him back to Bottas if Bottas seems more powerful. Okay, my second team, I can't day trade. What are you thinking, Dad?
I can't believe it. I'm after the first week higher. I'm at 105.5 million, and it took me 3/4 the whole year last year to get that high on one of my teams.
Really? Say that one more time. What's your value of your team?
105.5.
105? You've got 105?
How?
This must be wrong.
It has to be wrong. How did you do that? I've got my first team, which is my city team, at a 102.6. My day trading team is a 103 flat. So I was able to get a plus 4 million.
102.3.
There's something wrong because it says it on my second team too, so it can't be on all my teams. Yeah, there's something wrong. It said all 3 of my teams.
Okay, Kesko says Playon is buggy right now. Just be aware, for like 12 hours after the race is over, Playon is buggy as all get out.
Oh, okay, so that's what's going on.
Man, guys, how do you... Okay, chat, I need some help. So I really want to pick up Ocon. Here's the problem is, Red Bull is trending upward and Ferrari is trending downward. And what I don't want is for Ferrari... So, like, I could pick up Ferrari, and that's 2 of my trades already, right? I could pick up Ferrari, but then I could potentially lose money. I could lose money if Ferrari tends down. I hope people realize that Ferrari's up for a power streak. So this is 2 of my subs. So, like, I've already used my wild card for Team 2. I used all 12 of the subs. I gained 0.4 million over my steady team. But if I use 2 subs here, I can't sub out Ferrari and then pick them back up. What are your thoughts, bro?
No, I was saying you're struggling to pick up Ocon because of budget issues. I'm struggling to pick up Ocon because the website literally will not let me sub.
What do you mean?
Did you go down to
Are you on this
Australian?
week, or have you switched to Australia?
I'm in the Heineken Australian Grand Prix, but anytime I press the X, it won't let me do anything. I press X on the player and it
I
won't.
was having that issue too. I just refreshed it a bunch of times until it worked.
Clear your cache or something. I don't know. It seems like it's being really buggy. Okay. Let's get back to questions while we're thinking about this juggle.
More questions. Does the fastest lap, this is Hugo's there, does the fastest lap get added later? I'm assuming fantasy points.
Like I said, fantasy is really buggy, but I will show you on the Google sheet how much points everyone's supposed to get. You get plus 5 points for a fastest lap. So let's go. My spreadsheet updates faster than the website. So just hold your horses as the website goes. The one thing that my website does not take into account is when a driver misses a race. So for me, Mick Schumacher missed the race. He gets negative points for missing the race, right? But I don't know how, like, for example, Mazepin missed the last race of the season last year, and they somehow didn't give him, they didn't give him any negative points or anything. I don't have that option in my algorithm. So my points might start deviating from here because Mick Schumacher missed and then Tsunoda did not start. But as you can see here, Leclerc got plus 5 points. So he scored 41 points and Verstappen scored 45. Why is Leclerc better than Verstappen? Because not only is Leclerc cheaper, you can turbo him. That means Leclerc would have scored 82 points, right? So why have Verstappen on your team if you can't afford him, if you could then go both Ferraris, Perez? So you have 3 of the top 4 drivers and the cheaper constructor, which is able to get you a lot of points. Or even a Ford Red Bull if you need to. Man. So that's the answer. What other questions do we got, bro?
Oh, this is the last question I haven't been keeping track of what's been coming on since. But so the last one, Hugo's there, says, how long have you been doing fantasy F1 and how has it changed since you started?
We started 2018, right?
We started, yeah. It was a couple of years ago.
2018, 19, 20. So this is our 4th season of doing fantasy. When we first did it, they did not have sentiment or day trading at all. That was introduced last season. And so the first season was boring because Dominick literally picked a team. It went above 100 million and Dad and I couldn't copy his team to catch up. And because we had pretty much the same meta, he always had that 100 point gap or whatever he had for the whole season. The second year, we really started doing League DRD. So I don't think we put as much focus on it. So I have the stats for 2019, but not really keeping track of it too much. And this season, or last season, 2020, was when we first started doing this podcast. We were going to do League DRD focus. You guys were like, no, we need help with fantasy. So we started keeping track of it. I finished a top 1,000. Like I was literally number 1,000 in the globe. So so that was pretty good. Dad was really top ranked for league, so for the Orc challenge, League DRD. We had a lot of fun for that. So yeah, 4 years.
Taka is kind of helping us here, but so remember that back then a wild card was just you switching out you'd have the option to switch out your entire team, right?
Oh, that's true. Now you get 12 subs. Back then it was just you could sub everybody however you wanted. That's true. And then I think back then you only had one the whole season. I think you had one wild card the whole season, and Mega Drive I think was once the whole season. Now starting last season it's twice. One before this half of the season, one after, and then Mega Driver one before the half and one after the half. Yeah, that was a good point. You didn't have this whole huge wild card. Okay, let's go through some of the other questions that we might have missed. Okay,
it's on you.
Let's see. I'm looking for question marks. Maybe in the future we need people to put question marks at the beginning, kind of like in Spanish, how they have a question mark and then a question mark. Well, maybe we should do this so I can quickly see when people are asking questions. How long have you been doing fantasy? Does race performance change? I think we answered that. Thank you. Hi, guys. What do you think is the problem with Mercedes? We kind of addressed it earlier. We don't know the answer, but I think it's a combination of the 10% ethanol fuel that isn't sitting right with the Mercedes engines, so they're taking performance hits. And then the Mercedes in the past was so used to having over body aero package that now that they're switching to an underfloor aero package, they're not getting the speed on the straights like they were used to. Okay, what do you think is the problem with the Mercedes? I'm thinking about wildcarding this week for just day trading. We kind of answered that. I think having 2 weeks is enough time. My team one might day trade, but I tried to keep those for if I get a bunch of drivers getting their power streaks out at the same time. But I might day trade. We'll see. Funny if my steady team becomes my day trading team. How do the player streaks work? What do they need to do for bonus points? Okay, you need to finish in the top 10 for qualifying. If you do that 5 times in a row, upon your 5th time, you'll get plus 5 points for that race. If you finish in the top 10 during the race, 5 times in a row, the 5th time, you will get 10 bonus points. If you don't do it in a row, it resets, okay? For constructors, it's if both drivers finish in the top 10 during qualifying. If you do that 3 races in a row, plus 5 points. If you finish in the top 10 3 races in a row, sorry, I said 3 qualies in a row, excuse me, or 3 races in a row. 3 qualies in a row, 5. 3 races in a row, 10. I call it a power streak when you lined both up. That means a driver has qualified in the top 10 and finished in the race in the top 10 5 races in a row, or a constructor 3 times in a row. And that's when you would probably want to mega drive Leclerc. When Leclerc is up for his power streak, mega drive him. Verstappen DNF'd the first race, so Verstappen can't get a power streak. He can get a quali streak, and then the week after he can get a race streak. Yeah. The problem is, if you were to mega drive Leclerc, you can't also turbo him. So you might have to mega drive Leclerc and then decide between Sainz or Perez to turbo. But if either of those guys are, well, no, Perez can't get his turbo streak, his power streak, because he also DNF'd. So what you might want to do is on the 5th race of the season, mega drive Leclerc, turbo Sainz. And then that would give you double Sainz points and triple Leclerc points. Magnussen going to rise in the race adjustment by play-on? Yes, probably for sure. Mick Schumacher is probably going to end up being the cheapest driver on the site. The main problem with Mercedes is that it's just slow. Mega drive for streaks or sprint races?
Okay, hold on.
Oh.
Before you
Yeah.
continue, this has been fun.
We're passing out.
I think this is question times with Jeanmark now. So if you guys want to keep up with him, that's cool. But I'm gonna head out.
Hey, thank you guys. We have passed our hour. Thank you for your questions. I think in the future what we'll do with Dominick is he'll just take the 5 questions or whatever. If you've got fantasy questions, head over to our Discord, and then that's where I can help answer those questions. Sound good? Thank you, Dominick, Dad, and Paola for joining us. And thank you, everyone in the chat. And until next time, we'll see you on the pit wall.
Bye.